Well, it's a new year, new me. Time to develop a smoking habit. That's fun, isn't it? Gotta get in the new addictions, new habits, new things to do, new experiences. I never really smoked before, so I thought, well, why don't I just take that up? Why not? Life can't get much worse. Oh, it can. It very, very much can, obviously, but ha 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 ha! Only joking. If you're a regular viewer, you'll know I've mentioned before about I feel like I should have a cigarette. I got to knock the ash into the. I should have a cigarette. I should knock the ash into my painting, shouldn't I? Should I put cigarette ash in my painting? Wouldn't that be cool? And use that as texture. I always talk about texture, and then I go and waste the precious cigarette ash by putting it in an ashtray. I feel like I should be abysmal and dull and smelly and have a cigarette while painting and drawing and stuff, and then be like, and so I figured I'd try that out and see how it goes. I'm not loving it at the moment. Maybe it's one of those things. It's just awkward because it's not a habit, so it's not as comfortable as it might be otherwise. But also, I want to fill an ashtray with cigarette butts and take pictures of it and then draw them, because I think that'd be quite cool. See, because I'm doing this one right now. This is from Sludge Life. This is from one of my Sludge Life photos of ashtray piled with cigarette butts. I figured I'd make a nice painting from it, and I want to do. It's cool to I can Google image ashtray full of cigarette butts. But when it's something as relatively mundane as that, that was quite a lot, wasn't it? I feel like, why not just look at that, I'm putting the cigarette ash into my painting like a real artist. Blood, sweat, tears, and cigarette ash. When it's something as mundane as an ashtray full of cigarette butts, it's like, well, I can just do it myself. Why do I need to Google image some shit when I can just buy? I don't get ID'd for shit because of my beard. My beard makes me look like an old dwarven man, so I don't get ID'd for alcohol and cigarettes and such. So I can just buy some cigarettes and puff them out, as if that's a term anyone's ever used, and then fill an ashtray with the butts. I mean, I could walk around the street and pick up cigarette butts off the street, but I don't want to. I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to do that. I did smoke one, so I bought some cigarettes literally for the purpose of doing that, of just having, also for trying to see how it is with if I hold one in my hand while painting and drawing, and it's like, but also to fill an ashtray with cigarette butts. I did try smoking one. I bought them earlier today, and I tried smoking one, and it was meh, whatever. Maybe I need to do it a lot if I want to develop a habit from it. But what I did notice was then a little bit later on, I ate some noodles, and I make yummy fucking noodles. I get good noodles anyway, good tasty noodles, and then get a bit of chicken, cook that up with some spices and sauces and stuff, put some sweet chili sauce on it, have that together as a nice little meal. It's not as filling as a full meal, but for a little lunch, it's a good lunch meal. And it tasted like shit. I can only assume it's because I ate. I smoked out one single cigarette, and it just made the noodles taste like absolute fucking shit. So if that's, what would happen if I started smoking regularly? Not that I was planning to start smoking regularly, but just as a thought. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. I like my noodles. It's a tasty treat, and I don't want to sully that by smoking and shit. But then, that said, I'll use my palette as an ashtray, why not? Um, um, maybe that could be like a diet thing. Like, if I smoke a lot, I won't want to eat because the food will taste like shit, and then I'll lose some weight. So, cigarettes as a weight loss. I think I'm done with this one now. That can go in the thing. Do you want to see something that is cool? Look, this cigarette box I made. I put the cigarette box in the cigarette box, so it's like a yeah, brilliant. So that's a fun. Oh, look, I'm a smoker now. I developed a. Oh, that red's not. I need to squeeze out some red paint. That's the fun I have. Oh, wow, Ewan, living as an artist must be really fun and enjoyable. You must have such a good time painting and shit for a living. Yeah, now I smoke. And now my home smells like cigarettes and farts. I don't mind the smell of cigarettes. I don't love it, but I don't mind it. My ex smoked. And I was happy to have her smoke in here. I'm not supposed to smoke in my flat. But, my ex would visit for a couple of days at a time. She'd smoke, and then the smell would dissipate, so it would be whatever. But then after we stopped seeing each other, the smell, like, I started to miss it. I started to miss the smell of cigarettes. Or maybe it was I just missed her and not the smell of cigarettes. I will. It's a bit of a downer, wasn't it? So that's right. So I didn't intend to talk about cigarettes too much. And I'm not talking about cigarettes too much. This is just a fun little printing practice. This is just a little, not even an experiment or anything, just a fun little painting tool. That's what it's supposed to be, innit? It's supposed to just paint for fun and like make cool shit and just be like, oh look, I painted an ashtray full of cigarettes, full of ciggy cigs, specifically, being that it's from Sludge Life. I did that. That was quite cool. Fun little paint. Oh, I could also develop cancer or lung or heart disease from the smoking. That'd be a fun, interesting development, wouldn't it? Oh, sorry guys, no podcast this week. I got cancer. But yeah, if smoking's supposed to take like X amount of years off of your life or whatever, if I start smoking in my late 30s, I'm not really losing out on too much, am I? Fucking whatever. Again, I have no plans to start smoking. It's a thought experiment or something. I don't know. No. So, a little while ago, maybe last week, maybe a week before, maybe the week before that, maybe the week before that, I sort of mentioned / half teased the idea that my friend Sam, my good friend Sam, and I are planning on working on something together. We have plans. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that I guess announced what that is, and that, well, if you know, you know. If you don't, right. So there's this game, Skate 3. I play it sometimes. I have it on Xbox. So me and Sam used to play this all the time. We used to play Skate 3 all the fucking time. And Skate 3 is good because once you know how to play it, it's not necessarily mindless, but it's fairly easy to just skate around and enjoy skating around because it's a fun, enjoyable skate sim kind of game. So me and Sam used to do that all the time, and because it was, relatively mindless or just easy to do, it afforded us the ability to switch the controller, share the controller back and forth, just skate, but also just to chat, because we could just skate like whatever, but then we could use the time to just have really nice, interesting conversations. And I really enjoyed Skate 3 for that reason, because it was a nice, like, just time to talk with Sam. Which is to say, Sam and I, big fans of Skate, the Skate game series. I don't know if it's like not available on Steam for the PC, so Sam hasn't had it for quite a while. But last time I was there, over New Year's, he whilst I was there, he finagled his way to get an emulator and the thing, and he was able to like download some shit that allowed us to play Skate 3 on his PC, which was very, very fun. And that's part of the whole thing. So we're playing Skate 3, and part of Skate 3 is like the story mode or whatever. Is you set up your own skate team, and then you win competitions, you take photos and videos, and you become more popular, and then that equates to more board sales, and that all happens in the background. All you have to do in the game is just skate around, and then it says, hey, you completed this task, you sold 10,000 more boards, yay, you're winning. So that's like the basis of the story mode of the game. So to start with, you have to name your skate team. Usually, if I'm playing like on my own or even with Sam or whatever, the skate team will end up being named Poo Dicks or Fart Mouth, Shit Ass, Penis Balls, blah, 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 blah. And like all the skateboarders will be named Shit Vagina and Piss Mouth and whatever else, because I'm me, and so that's how the shit goes. But then Sam had the controller at the time of naming the skate team, so he named it Violence, which I thought was quite funny. I was down with that. And he was like, he said because he knows if you're playing the game and you like win a competition in the game, it will come up and it will say Violence wins, and he thought that idea was quite funny. And I was like, ha, that is quite funny. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with our skate team being called Violence. Good one, Sam. Let's do it. So then you have to pick a logo for your team, and that's basically just, there's a bunch of logos you can scroll through, like random just graphic images and stuff, like graphics, not graphic images of violence or whatever, although that would fit. So there's like a cartoon picture of a shark, there's a crown image, a flame thing, like clip art emojis kind of. So we're scrolling through the logos, looking for one that was sort of, that we wouldn't mind using for our team, our skate team. And one of the logos was like a silhouette of an AK-47. And we were like, hey, perfect, it's a gun, Violence, skateboards, gun, let's go, let's fucking do it. So we did that. So then we had the graphic on the underside of our board. We made our team logo, AK-47, team name Violence. So then we got to competitions and it said Violence wins, and it comes up with our logo of a gun. And we were like, that's brilliant. I really, really like that. Ha ha ha. Funny, funny, funny. So then we're just playing the game. We're just whatever, chilling, playing Skate 3, winning competitions. Violence wins. Violence, violence, violence. All very good. And at some point, Sam turns to me and he says, it's not that hard to set up a company. And I was like, oh, really? And he was like, yeah, like, we could set up a company called Violent Skateboards, and like, I think because previously we had been talking about like, haha, imagine having an actual skate company and naming it Violent Skateboards. Oh yeah, you could put just Violence on a t-shirt or just a gun on a t-shirt, and people would buy that because it's really, really cool and funny. And we were like, haha, yeah, wouldn't that be funny? That would be really cool to do. Imagine doing that. And then we sort of left it, and like I say, we're just playing skate. But then, sorry, I missed that bit. Then Sam turns to me and goes, it's actually really easy to set up a company. And I was like, oh shit, yeah? And he was like, yeah, like we could set up a company called Violent Skateboards. We could legitimately set up a company called Violent. We could buy blank decks and shirts and paint and print them up. We could literally legitimately make Violent Skateboards a reality. And I was like, oh shit, well that'd be funny, wouldn't it? And then we were talking like, haha, yeah, wouldn't that be funny to actually not just hey, imagine if you had a company called Violent Skateboards. But then, actually, imagine if we set up a company called Violent Skateboards. So that's what we're doing. We are legitimately taking steps and making moves towards setting up a company called Violent Skateboards. I did announce this on Instagram, and pre-orders will soon be available for decks and t-shirts that we are planning. And I say steps are being taken. Sam showed me a photo the other day of packages that arrived, a load of blank skateboard decks, a load of blank t-shirts. He's ordered screen printing equipment so we can print t-shirts. I'm going to hand stencil, spray paint some decks, varnish them up, make them all nice and nice with the Violence logos. Throughout this, I'll put up the Violence logos. If you haven't already seen them, I might, if I remember. We'll see. But it's literally in motion. The mid-February is Sam's birthday, so I'm going to go to his for that because it's a good time to do so, and he can get time off work. And we're going to be spending some days printing t-shirts, painting boards, and then we would have taken pre-orders before that, start shipping them up, sending them out to people. And that's the first step on the path. And after that, we will look into if we sort of we don't have loads of stock that we're making, but if we sell most of what we are making, we are going to look into setting up a legitimate, registered company of Violence Skateboards. Sam said we can then get like a business bank account. Eventually, you think about and then if we're successful, we can do this and we can do that and we can do that. And he's talking about finding a studio space where we can put shit together. And we do have ideas for more intricate designs, getting boards printed professionally, all kinds of shit. Violent Skateboards, it's a thing, it's happening, we are making a thing, we are doing a thing, which is great because there's been so many times, I'm sure you have it as well in your life, where you think ha, wouldn't it be funny fun, wouldn't it be cool and interesting to do this, make your own comic, make your own t-shirt, set up your own company, your own brand, whatever. And I've had those moments again and again and again, but it's rare that I'm sort of with or around anyone that can help make that a reality, because a lot of stuff you can do on your own. I can make my own comics and I can put them out there, but so Sam, for instance, he's got a very good head for the business side of things, because he's set up mortgages and business plans and all kinds of shit. He's got a head for that. He's very technically minded, whereas I am the opposite. My brain shuts off at the mention of business plan. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with any of that shit. But I can draw and paint and I can design boards and shit. So it's almost like a match made in heaven, where I provide the designs and then Sam does everything else. Obviously I do the physical aspect of making shit with Sam's help, and then Sam takes care of the business side of things, and it might work. It might become something. We're not expecting, to become big and famous for it, but it's a thing. We're trying a thing, and that's what I say all the time. It might not work out, but you fucking tried, and that means something. Trying means something. So that's what we're doing. Violent Skateboards. We're trying it. We're doing it. We're fucking doing it. Oh, yeah. Something a little different, a little bit out of the blue, which is actually how I found this. It was quite out of the blue. I was in the comic book store looking for shit that I might want to pick up. The latest Hulk was out, but it was art by not Nick Klein, so I was a bit... The latest Ultra Mega, I don't know if it had come out and I've missed it, or it hasn't come out yet, or whatever, but I didn't see that anywhere. Mike Mignola has a new graphic novel coming out, something like Bowling with Corpses or something. I don't know if that's out and I just didn't see it, or if it's not out yet and I haven't seen it because it's not out yet. But I didn't see it either way. So I was looking around, I was about to leave, and then I saw it like this on the shelf, because it was on a lower shelf other shelves sort of covering most of it. But I saw this, and I thought, ooh, that looks quite post-apocalyptic-y. Apocalyptic. So I thought I'd pick it up and have a look. And then I saw that it was Cormac McCarthy's The Road graphic novel adaptation. Based on the book by Cormac McCarthy, which is... the film is based on the book. I don't know if this is based more on the book or the film. Or probably the book. It's a great film. It's a great book, which I have read. So grim and hopeless feeling. So like the world they're in is so barren and dire and desperate. In terms of post-apocalypse viewing, it's perfect in terms of how it's made and how it looks in the world it portrays, the book and the film. Obviously, I love post-apocalyptic stuff. The Fallout, the other Fallouts, all Fallouts. That Last American comic is a really good one, and other bits too. I'm pretty sure I've spoken about The Road before in terms of inspiration for post-apocalyptic stuff. And in terms of inspiration, you know, there's that Simpsons comic I do still want to do and will make one day when I can afford to just sit and make the fucking thing. The post-apocalyptic Springfield comic. The Road is a large source of inspiration for that. And Cormac McCarthy is a fantastic writer. I've read several of his books. Several of them have been adapted. No Country for Old Men. Really fucking good film. Really fucking good book. The Road, again, brilliant. So I saw this in the store and I was like, oh, that looks cool. Saw that it was The Road and I was like, oh, that's quite cool. Flipped through it and I was like, well, shit. This looks really fucking cool. By Manu Larsenet. I think he's French, so Manu Larsenet or something. Larsenet. I don't know him or his stuff, but this is really, really good. Of course, as always, with any book, you've got to get rid of the goddamn dust jacket, because fuck it, and that leaves you with this nice... I do like it as well. I like the colour. Sort of two-tone, The Road. And then there's the little dad and his son. And that's the sort of premise of The Road, of the story, is this dad and his son traversing the blasted wasteland from wherever it is they start, trying to get to the coast to hopefully get to a better life, maybe, better things ahead. And straight away, actually, like, these dust clouds, smoke or whatever, that's gorgeous. For an opening page, it's gorgeous. And the use of ink and line work and stuff and dirt and texture. And there's a lot of dirt and texture in this, which I really, really like. Like, I feel like I'd really struggle to properly portray smoke and dust clouds in this kind of way. But that's really, really good looking. And that's one of the things that struck me just flipping through this originally, was the way he draws and represents these moments and the land and the atmosphere of this post-apocalyptic world. And there's a lot of it, which is really good. There's a lot to enjoy. The downed sort of telegraph poles and rubble and, you know, shacks and broken buildings, dead trees. That's quite a big thing in The Road as well, all the dead trees. I like this as well, is him looking through the binoculars at these different points of the landscape, and every one of them is just so brilliant. Like, each of these frames screams post-apocalypse in a slightly different way, some more so than others, but really, really nicely done. And we're only a few pages in and it's just like, it's so good. I don't want to just spend the whole time saying this is such a fucking good book. And the characters are sort of almost stereotypically post-apocalypse, with like, they're all wrapped up in rags and hats and hoods and stuff, pushing a cart with all their stuff wrapped in like tarpaulins and sheeting and stuff, all their gear tied to it. But then that's portrayed in almost the same way in the film. I do like that it doesn't look like this was too influenced by the film. It might have been slightly. I mean, it's hard not to be, isn't it, if it exists as a film and a book. But it doesn't look like he's just copying the film and turning it into a graphic novel. It feels like it's this feels like its own thing. Great effect of the water ripples as the rain's coming down. There's a really, really fucking good use of colour throughout this. I'll point it out here and there where I feel it's sort of most well done. But there's small details, the matches, that will come up later on. The little bit of lighting while they're, in amongst the darkness. The landscape, all the dead trees. Abandoned, like, gas station or whatever. The flag and then the flag and the... Just really, really fucking good. And again, every detail, like they're going into this abandoned place looking for whatever. Picks up this pipe to use as a potential weapon. Just every snapshot of just, the torn, worn posters, the drawers with just paper and stuff everywhere. A workbench long since abandoned. A toolbox, obviously, previously someone else had been there and taken all the tools out of the toolbox and off of the workbench and stuff, which shows that, like, it's been stripped bare. And that's what happens in the post-apocalypse. Everything has been stripped bare already. So, yeah, there you go. No, it's already been searched. Where you're lucky if you can find any kind of scrap or whatever. Looking for gas, looking for water. Well, there's the faintest hint of gas in this can. So they've got a bunch of them so they can, sort of get the last few drops out of these empty gas cans. That's something. Which is a great example of, post-apocalyptic living. Literally getting every last scrap you can to try to survive. I don't think that was in the film, so that's quite a good little detail to have. I mean, it's quite a fairly decently sized book as well, so I might not make it all the way through in this look through, but the again with the colour, like they're indoors and it's quite dark, dull greys. They're outdoors and it's slightly more yellowish. And then I don't know, maybe it's the morning light where there's a lack of light, so it's all like basically black and white with faint greys and stuff. The detail in every single panel is insane. This smashed up car, this smashed shelter, a boot in a puddle, a broken down house, dead trees and pylons, buildings and trees, just decimated wasteland, dust clouds and stuff. And that's like the story itself, like with them, getting every last scrap they possibly can. That's good and cool. But for me, the most interesting part of this book is basically every panel that has these scenes, these post-apocalyptic... That's great framing as well, with the street signs and the buildings sort of within that framing. It's like a frame within a frame. And them silhouetted against the background or whatever. He's got his little pistol. And as always, texture. There's texture everywhere. He's using... I don't know if a lot of it is maybe digital or if he is like flicking ink. It's probably a mixture of both. Where there's just spatters, bits of paper whirling around in the wind, just dust. It's really, really rich with texture. I really, really love and appreciate that. Getting into a more heavily, or what would be a more densely populated area, the buildings more tightly packed. That's a great looking building where like the entire like one face has come away, and just dust and dirt have created a blanket across the ground. Just fucked up cars and buildings and everything. Corpses. There'll be plenty of those. God damn, that's a great shot as well. Them pushing the cart between the buildings. It's almost a masterclass in, like, this book is almost a masterclass in illustrating a post-apocalyptic wasteland. It's so well done. They're going down a hill on the cart. The kid's like got his arms and feet in the air. A little bit of enjoyment as he laughs. That's quite a cool little bit, a little detail. More rain, and they find shelter. And within the shelter, the hanged bodies of a family. So they leave. And that's one thing the road does really well. Cormac McCarthy does that really well in the book. It does it really well in the film. I think I have said before, actually, how, in my opinion, The Road is one of the best on-screen adaptations of a book. The parts they've missed out are perfectly fine for them to miss out. It's only small details. But in terms of transferring the mood of the story from the book onto the screen, it's just about perfectly done in The Road. I really can't imagine it could have been done any better. And it's so the book and the film and this do really well to show like the grim realities of, you know, these sorts of situations of multiple people taking their own lives rather than suffering through whatever they might have to suffer through. Beachbody ready? Is there in like a market or something? Finding cans of things. Beans, a can of beans. That's like finding gold. Finding a tin of anything in this environment is like gold dust, almost literally. A drinks machine with a can of soda in it. He gives it to his son, who's never had soda before. It's a treat for him, and he's like, his kid's like, I won't ever drink it again, will I? And his dad's just like, oof. Nah, likely not. Just corpses in the dust and their mangled hands and their withered faces. And they bathe in the water that they find, which, I mean, don't know if I'd want to go in any body of water in these times, but man, it's so good. It's so impressively done. I'll be honest. I came out of the comic book store with this, and I sat down on a park bench because I had some time to kill. So I just sat down looking through this, and I spent quite a while looking through it, enjoying it and soaking it in. And then when I closed the book and lifted my head up, I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, for a little while, the small amount of time I was looking in this, I was in this world, and when I suddenly came to and I was in the regular world again, it was a genuine sort of like jolt to be woken up and be like, oh fuck, okay, things aren't this bad, you know. There's an overturned trailer. He manages to get the door off. He says it smells bad, looks inside, and it's just packed with corpses. Some of them look fairly fresh as well. Papa, you want me to come help you? No, there's nothing. It's empty. Let's get out of here. Doesn't want to show his son the trailer full of bodies. The colour, I assume this is like fire, because the world is, you know, it's dust and it's decimated, but there's parts of it that are just burning. So the use of the reddish hues there. Yeah, the colour is really, really well implemented. There are some parts... Oh, okay, yeah, this is a good part to show. Where they encounter other people. This, like, travelling band of... Well, essentially raiders, I guess, like from Fallout. Just mean people surviving. They've got to stay quiet and they've got to stay hidden. He has an altercation with one of them. Grabs his son, shoots him in the eye. That alerts the others. They all run into the woods. Gotta escape. Scary shit, man. So yeah, these moments sort of highlighted with warmer colours, and I think that's the intention throughout the book. Is whenever there's a moment of like heightened intensity, it's given more warmer colours, more hot, more heat, more fire, and they manage to escape. So there's a few moments like that where they encounter other people. And then there's moments where there's fucking intestines and shit on the ground, and obviously human bodies having been eaten. It's all very grim. Not incredibly cheerful, but really in terms of, you know, storytelling, illustration, art in general, it's really, really fantastic. So there's like a tunnel or something, and he goes in and there's just hung up bodies and fucking voodoo shit, dolls and heads. Just piles of heads with a little bunny, a little stuffed bunny toy on top. Just horrible sights. A Homer Simpson toy. Yeah, and it's not just there are bodies in here. Like, this is evidence of someone collecting heads and tying them up and drawing eyes on bits of paper, little symbols, and I don't know if it's voodoo, but there's, you know, some kind of intent to the collection of these body parts and stuff. The way they've strung up severed hands and all kinds of stuff. Oh, that's baby hands with like a little dummy. Oof. I like that it doesn't shy away from that as well. Like, again, it really shows how just horrendous these, you know, times like this could be. Because there are people like this alive who, in this environment, left to their own devices, would do shit like this with strung up body parts and baby hands and shit. And so it's good that, you know, a book like this doesn't try to, you know, paint over it with a nice clean brush and go like, oh, you know, yeah, there are bad people, but it's whatever. It's like, no, there are bad people out there doing bad people's shit. The colours start to heat up as there's more people, more bands of raiders. And they look great as well. That's like, again, post-apocalypse 101. Rags and bones and, you know, the hair coming out. I don't know if that's radiation or if it's just, you know, malnourishment or whatever. They've got child toys. He's got a little Hello Kitty in his hair. And this is particularly, like, nasty. There's obviously quite a lot of them. It's a whole fucking crew of people. But it's not just them. They've got a whole gang of pregnant women. They've got these, I don't know, slaves, these fucking people they A couple of them are missing limbs. Maybe they chop them off to eat them, and they like blindfolded them. And they're just dragging them along, keeping them alive. This one's got a necklace of fingers. And these people, yeah, they're like blindfolded. Their hands are tied up to a bar. Their mouths are covered. They're covered in like cuts and scratches and stuff. Just nasty, nasty people doing nasty shit to other people. Bad times, yeah. Bad bloody times. Imagine that. Oh, this is a scene that's done really well in the film. Where they find they're in a building, they find a cellar door, they break into it, goes down into the cellar, the colours heat up again, and there's people being kept down there, obviously to be, you know, chopped up and eaten. They're missing limbs, they're all skinny as fuck, they're basically skeleton people, and they're begging for help, but you know, this dad's trying to save him and his son. Like, they've got to get out of there. So they leave. As they leave, people are coming back to the building they're inside of, so they've got to fucking scarper. Oy, it's harsh. Shit is harsh. But it's a fantastic work of art that can portray that well enough that you feel bad about it. Because, you know, you play like Fallout and it's all very... There's serious moments, but for the most part it's quite tongue-in-cheek and there's an element of humour to it. But when it's a work like this where it puts it out there and just says, this is the shit that these people are having to deal with, to go through, to try to survive, and it makes you like face it and feel it, and it's just like, shit. Fucking shit. So yeah, this is going to be something I might even read it, but it's definitely something to look through, to be like, damn, like, wow, that's really, really fucking well done. One other note about violent skateboards that Sam and I are working on is what a few people have said, which is maybe not obvious, but what a few people have said is, oh, that's so cool, you could, you know, your drawings on skateboards will look really cool, your paintings on skateboards. If you make like decks with your sexy nude drawings on, they'll sell loads. But that's really sort of not what Sam and I are aiming for. Like, it almost seems obvious that, like, if I'm making a skate company, you know, I put effort into making really sick, amazing, detailed drawings and paintings to go on these decks. But it's actually really almost the opposite of that, that Sam and I want to do. The imagery we want to put out is very... very bold graphics that we want to make. Just the violence, the word violence in big letters, a gun, and we have ideas for other imagery featuring like axes and various weapons and stuff. But for instance, the idea of using the word violence, we're trying to be careful and not make it like violence is good, ha 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 ha, yeah. But for instance, violence as like, you know, in terms of an act of rebellion. Like, they'll say violence isn't the answer, but, you know, like the CEO of, you know, a health insurance company will get murdered and they'll say violence isn't the answer, even though that health insurance company is responsible for the deaths and ruined lives of hundreds of thousands, if not more people. And they'll say violence isn't the answer, even though they're committing violent acts on the daily in, you know, in the name of profits. So fuck them. So violence in the face of a tyrannical system. That's what the type of violence Sam and I are trying to put forth. So the idea of having the word violence on a t-shirt is meant in that respect, not in terms of punch people and steal their wallets. Unless they're, health insurance CEOs, in which case take their wallets, take all their shit, who gives a fuck. We do have ideas as well, though, for like some board graphics would be cool to have, like classical paintings that feature violent acts, but like good violent acts, like the woman beheading a guy, like where the guy's laid back and she's got his head and she's just like chopping his neck with a sword, like that on a skateboard with the violent skateboards logo. So like we figure later down the line, if we're able to, if we can get the rights to that image, that would be cool. If not, I'll just paint a version of it. But basically the point is, for me personally, as like the art director, I guess, of Violent Skateboards, is I don't want it to be a thing where I'm like, oh, I've got to come up with another graphic, I've got to spend days and days working on this drawing or painting. Like, no, I just want to make quick, easy, bold graphics to go on these boards. And that's another thing as well, is we want it to be bold and easy to get right away, because we want it to have that sort of revolutionary tilt to it, where it's just impactful, bold, punch you in the face and steal your wallet graphics. That's the idea anyway. We're going to see how far we can go with it. That's the plan. So we'll see how it goes. So that's, like I said, I just wanted to mention that, because I know there will be people that will say, oh, you should paint your goblins on a thing, you should paint Gun Viking on a violent skate, that would make sense. But no, we're going for more bold graphic imagery as opposed to killer, like punk artwork or whatever. While still making good boards, anyway. Anyway, now I'm working on this thing I want to... I don't even know exactly. This is a guy. So on my Instagram page, I've had for I don't know, a few years now, I've pinned the top 3 posts. One is for commissions, a very pink image just about commissions, and then you swipe through and there's some information about my pay what you want commissions. There's another image I've got about Patreon, explaining what that is and where to go, and another one about YouTube, what that is and where to go to see it. So at the top of my Instagram page, those 3 images are pinned, so it's, an introductory sort of business side of things, I guess, though I don't like to think of it as such. So I recently redid the commissions one, because I just felt like it was time to update them, to have new pictures. So I did the pay what you want commissions thing, redid that, and now I want to do a Patreon one, and then I'll do the YouTube one. For the Patreon one, my idea is to have this guy, I guess me or whatever, give him a beard, pulling down his pants, and then there's a big, his big cock coming out, but it's got veins and shit on it. But then it goes up into the big letter P, and it's his penis, so it's a big P for his penis, and then it says Patreon, and then www.patreon.com/ewan. Go to Ewan's Patreon, something like that. So that's the image I have in my head. I just need to try to... that's basically it. There's not much else to it. It's all going to be down to where do I put the hands? His fingers sticking out, his thumb in the trousers, and then the other one here, I guess, the big P coming out of there. That's almost it. That's basically done. Obviously, I'll need to refine it a bit, but that's pretty much the thing. I've got him biting his lip just because it seems quite an intense thing to be going on. Speaking of post-apocalyptic things, I think it was during the height of my zombie-loving period, around college times, I found this game online, which is like, I guess, like a text-based, massive multiplayer online zombie survival game. And it was only a small thing, but there was something about it I really enjoyed. Basically, so it works. You make a character, I guess, and then the whole game is set out on like a grid, but like a big grid, and each square is like a library, a gas station, a sports field, a supermarket, an office block, a scrapyard, a library, a home place, another place. So each block of the grid is that. So you'll make your character, and you'll start in one of these places, and it will have like a description. It will say you are in front of the library. There are 4 zombies here. And here are the actions you can do. If you have items, maybe you can use an item to go into the library and maybe find something. If there are zombies there, you have to fight the zombies. Or you can move north, south, east, west to another place. And so each, literally in real life day, each 24 hours, you have a certain amount of actions you can use. So you can move a certain amount of squares in directions. You can do a certain amount of things, fight a certain amount of zombies, and then your action points run out. And then it goes to the next day. Now, each of the zombies, they are also players who have become zombies. So they can choose to, if a player lands on their square within their environment, they can choose to attack, eat, or like turn the person into a zombie. So if you've run out of action points and then you leave the game and don't check it for a day or two, in that time you could potentially be eaten by zombies and turn into a zombie. So then you can turn on or go back onto the game the next day, and now you're a zombie and you're like, oh fuck, god damn it. So you wander around as a zombie again. I think you've got a certain amount of action points. You can do a certain amount of things, attack a certain amount of people in a day. And there's something about like the simplicity of it that I really enjoyed. I didn't play it like loads, but once I found it, I was into it. I thought it was really, really cool, really smart. A very easy game to grasp, easy to play, and just something like almost like how Wordle is like a one thing a day. You do it, and then you go, okay, that was fun, and then you go on to you wait for the next day to do it again if you're into it. And it's another thing like that, just a thing you can do daily. Like, oh, it's a new day, let me, fucking Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing or something. Oh, let me water my plants quick, let me harvest my crops, tidy up my living space, whatever it is. But it's zombie survival. So, I really, really enjoyed that. And I was thinking recently, like, what was it called? I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember how much of it I even remember correctly, if I'm misremembering parts or if I'm making stuff up about it that I don't actually recall properly. So I Googled grid-based online multiplayer zombie survival game, and it came up. I've got it in a tab right here. urbandead.com is the name of it. Urban Dead, a massively multiplayer web-based zombie apocalypse, and it's all done in the web browser window. So I haven't started again yet, but there's a big button that says create a character, so I might do that after I've done all this shit. I've got this shit out of the way. Because it's still going, and it says copyright 2005. So that's when I found it, probably 2006, 2007. So it's been going for like 20 years now, and it's still up. And it says 1.6 1.81 million dead and rising. So I don't know if that's current players or players total over the years. But that's pretty fucking cool. I mean, I assume if it's still going, because the copyright actually says 2005 to 2023, the last update on the news is 2021. So I assume it's still going, or maybe it hasn't for a couple of years. But either way, if it's the copyright, if it's still there, then I've got to assume some people are still playing. So it'll be fun to check that out at least. I just thought that was quite cool that was still a website that's up. I assumed it was like, because it's all 20 years ago, it's probably long gone. But no, that could be quite fun to play. And that's potential for visuals as well. Like I could play a game of that and then like illustrate. I could like do a daily illustration of my time in Urban Dead, and if I become a zombie in like 3 or 4 days or less, then that's just a thing I'll illustrate. Maybe I can create a new character and see how that one does. But there's potential there because there's different environments, different actions you'll be taking, different things, fighting zombies and all kinds of shit. Oh, that's pretty fucking smart. Does that? When that kind of works, I think maybe I want to have the character leant back a bit more. If I have his face like this, his eyes here, like ooh, and then the penis coming out here. But then I've got to fit it into, well, I guess now Instagram's gone into rectangle mode, but fit it into basically a square image. If I have the guy's head here, and his legs like this, and his penis coming out here. And that's the thing, I want to, because I don't want to have to cram the word Patreon in to here and have this vacant space. So it's going to take a little bit of designing and figuring out. So I figured a quarter, if I can... Patreon. His eyes bulging. I'm sure I can make it work. It's not too outrageous an idea as it is. It's doable. And then maybe like Ewan is on Patreon. Patreon.com/Ewan. And maybe a little arrow to let you know you can swipe for more info. And then all the shit I've got on Patreon. Oh, by the way, patreon.com/Ewan. Weekly podcasts, sometimes sketchbooks, comics. Gun Viking issue 6 was uploaded as I finished it as a PDF. Obviously, you can go and buy the book at ewanewan.com. I'm doing my monthly giveaways of cards, my goblin fuckers. Every month I'll be working on the second one soon. So that's a thing. So if you're not already subscribed, go subscribe to patreon.com/Ewan. What are you waiting for?